Morning. Just over my way here driving to go work on a house I'm working on today. And I had some thoughts I wanted to get out, so I figured I'd make a little video here. I'm very bothered by the people on this earth who just want to argue about everything all the time. They look for things to argue about. They're not necessarily important. I mean, they're just looking for reasons to argue. Now, it's always, obviously, you can't live and not see it. If you're living and you haven't seen people who just like to argue and look for reasons to argue and cause controversy and get stirred up about stuff, you either haven't lived long enough or you live under a rock. I mean, they're everywhere. Oh. But I think there's a real danger to that. To your own personal life, if you're a person like that who just wants to argue all the time. One, who does that help, really? If you're that kind of person, you're not going to convince anybody that they're wrong. They don't want to listen to you. They don't respect you. There you are. I think it just stirs up strife. And it really bothers me when people who say they're Christians just want to argue all the time. Like, I understand there's doctrinal issues that need to be addressed, but a lot of times there's stuff that's just not important that we try to make into big problems. And I think we gotta stop doing that, especially when it comes to things that just aren't important. I mean, we gotta stop arguing and stirring up strife even when there are things that are important. We gotta find better ways to address it than just stirring up hatred. But when it's stuff that's not important, we gotta stop stirring up arguments. And we have to stop trying to blow it up and make it a big deal whenever it's not. And sometimes there are things that are big deals, but we stir it up into something way bigger than it is and blow it out of proportion. I've noticed that a lot of people who are really the big culprits of... I'm sleepy. I've noticed a lot of people who are the big problems with just wanting to make everything into an argument. I've noticed that a lot of these people are dragging others who are not part of the argument into it. And I think that something that happens when we do that is it really makes people lose respect for you. Especially the people who are not part of something, you try to drag them into it, and there's no reason for them to be. Just the other day, there was some stuff that was happening, and I didn't even really know the full gist of what was going on, but somebody started dropping my name in the comments on some Facebook argument. I've got no intention of arguing with people on Facebook. That is not profitable. It's not worth your time. But you start dropping people's names in the comment section and accusing them of stuff when they don't even know what the comment section, what the post is about. It's just wrong. Don't do that. There's no reason to drag people in, and especially, don't do it in real life when the people aren't there to defend themselves. That's just low. And in Romans chapter 12, Paul said, whenever it is possible, live peaceable with all men. That's something that we need to all model in our lives. We need to stop going after all these foolish controversies and getting involved in all these arguments. It's a real problem. It's just pitiful. Nothing good comes of it. I wish that people would act like they should. That's something that I've decided over the last couple of months, is that I'm just not, especially over the last couple of days, I'm just not going to argue with people. And especially because I've had a couple of situations, unrelated even to that, where people have really been trying to get me to argue with them. I'm just not interested in it. no sense. I'm just gonna get my blood pressure high, and then I'm gonna be aggravated for, the next day or two. It doesn't help me. It doesn't help them. Nobody's gonna change their mind about anything in an argument, especially something that is important enough to argue about. It's just not very useful. And I'm not saying that there aren't things that are important enough to stand up for, but you got to pick your battles. Thinking about the political strife and the political rift between the two halves of this country. Thinking about the wars going on in the world. People got to learn to have peace between the brethren, and not just peace between the brethren, peace between all men. It really is it's bothering. It is really a constant thought in the back of your head you've got to have all the time, is that there's people who are in charge of countries who are no more mentally or emotionally mature than most people that you run into. And these are the people who are controlling the fate of the entire world. They've got the nuclear button sitting on their desk that they can press if they got into a bad mood. And, that is something that is really scary. That, if two old men got into a fight, started, getting angry with each other, we could have Armageddon. Luckily, I think that right now in this country, we've got an administration that is going to really do a lot to avoid that. But, that was something you had to think about a lot with the last administration, because they were trying to get all up and involved with all these foreign wars that had nothing to do with us. That's something, the whole idea of getting involved in all these wars, we got to be making peace, and sending money to one side or the other, I don't know that helps make peace. That just helps us take a side in the war. I think at some point we all have to realize that we're all sharing the same big rock spinning in space. From the Christian world point, we're all humans made in the image of God. We have more value than just fighting all the time. But if you don't even believe in that, you gotta realize we're all just living on the same floating rock in space. No one is so much more important than somebody else on that floating rock that it's worth killing people over. And that's not to say I don't think that there are people who deserve to be punished. I think that there are. But let vengeance be in the hands of the Lord. I think we just got to learn to be more peaceful. Got to create peace. Anyway, that's my thoughts for today. Live peaceably. Stop getting into arguments and causing problems for no reason. Gotta do better myself. We all gotta do better. Something I'm focusing on this week in my life is just living a more peaceful life. So, yeah, I know it's pretty much just rambling. Not very entertaining video, but thanks for watching. Hopefully it's something you can use. See you later.